Am I in? Hi, co-reporters. Welcome back to my channel. Or if you're a newbie, welcome to my channel. I'm here with Tisa Tells to talk about the burglary of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Dorit Kemsley. How are you, Tisa?
I'm doing good. I see wherever you're at, it is a nice balmy 85 degrees. You look super summery.
I have sweatpants on at the bottom of this.
You look gorgeous. You're like, I'm not ready for the pumpkin spice lattes yet. We're going to keep summer in as much as we can.
Exactly. And what about you? Thank you. You look like a bronze goddess.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You know, keeping that Fenty up, keeping ColourPop is keeping it going.
Oh, it looks good. I love it. So we got a bunch of people in the chat already who have been leaving comments since like way before we started. So thank you so much to everybody who has been here getting ready for this stream. We really appreciate it. This story just came out of what seems to be left field. Again, here's my question, Tisa. I thought that these Beverly Hills housewives lived in gated communities and had some sort of security in their homes. How is this consistently happening to them?
Okay, so I'll tell you a few things of why it's consistently happening. So you need to realize that yes, there are some people that live in gated communities, right? However,
Yeah.
in the California area, at one point, especially before the panorama, I don't want to get YouTube tagging you, especially before the last 2 years, Beverly Hills kind of was its own gated community, believe it or not. The police monitor the city lines, the neighbors are on neighborhood watch. It literally was like living in a gated community. However,
Mhm.
not just with Dorit, but in the last year, since they reopened again, crime has gone up so much. But the type of crime that's been happening is so odd in the fact that the very best restaurants, people are being like one guy, I think it was 3 or 4 months ago. I forget the name of the restaurant. It was one of the best restaurants there. They ran up in there armed and literally robbed him. He was wearing a $500,000 watch. They robbed him. People are walking down the street with their laptops, with their Gucci book bags, with their whatever. And literally, people are driving around the neighborhoods in broad daylight, running up on them and snatching them stuff. So there's something going on in that area. I do think it's a lot because a lot of people are experiencing incredible economic hardship.
Yes.
And you know how it is when people are hungry, they're going to eat. So that's why they're not living in a gated community, because up until this point, Beverly Hills was its own gated community.
Wow. And they haven't been able to increase police presence enough to kind of counteract this, because we do have a similar problem here in Paris where, and it's not on a large scale or anything. Well, it is actually, I'm sure you guys have heard about like, our pickpocketing problem
No, we
here and
haven't.
stuff.
Tell us. I'm going to
Yeah.
Paris later on this year. I'm going to get tips from you, but tell us about Paris. I never.
Oh, it's amazing. It's really, really nice. But you do always have to be very vigilant about like,
Oh,
your bags, your pockets. Like you can't just have your phone in your pocket or anything like that. Your jacket pocket, your pant
you.
pocket, nothing like that. Because, it is a big problem. And when it comes to like the robbery that you're talking about, where people like are getting backpacks and watches stolen right off of them, we even had like a soccer player from the official PSG soccer team. He was robbed in his car. He was in his car. A hooker or something came up to the window and just robbed
What
him.
was he doing in places with hookers? But anyway,
Well,
let's skip over
exactly.
that part of the story. He was like, I was at church, and then a hooker knocks on the window, and we're like, okay.
Give me your watch. But really, so just to back things up a bit, for those of you who don't know, Housewives of Beverly Hills star Dorit Kemsley was unfortunately robbed for about $1 million worth of valuables in a home invasion that took place Wednesday evening. And they're saying that, I guess, three armed men came in through her children's classroom. She's got a classroom for her kids in the house, and they came in through there and they found her at the foot of her bed and they woke her up and they threatened to shoot and kill her if she did not show them where the valuables were.
So here's the thing. First of all, I'm glad that nobody was harmed, right?
Yeah.
There was a glass door, like you said, and downstairs in the classroom, and that's what they bust through, right? Hey, B, that's what they bust through. The thing is, and a lot of people have been saying this, and this isn't because it's still early, so please don't take this the wrong way, but she was robbed. And Kyle was robbed.
Yeah.
Kyle's security system was by Teddy Mellencamp's husband.
Hmm.
Teddy Mellencamp's husband, I can't pronounce his last. Eddie, we'll call him Eddie. Eddie Arroyaves, I believe is his name, but we'll call him Eddie. Has been sued by former clients for fraud, saying that their security firm was instrumental in setting up some clients to get robbed inside jobs. Now, it hasn't been proven true in court. However, when you look at Kyle's robbery and when you look at Dorit, a lot of people say, oh, it might have been for a storyline. I doubt anybody would do this for a storyline. However, the valuables that were robbed, it was insured. Just like that guy's watch that got robbed in the restaurant in California. A lot of people are like, one, what were you doing wearing a 500,000 watch outside that's usually kept in your safe? And two,
Yeah.
oh, magically it's insured. So one thing we see, the flip side of the crime, when it comes to people that are very wealthy, now we're talking about insurance fraud. And that is a conversation that has entered the chat when it comes to Dorit and PK. And I think that's largely because Dorit and PK, to some people, seem to have slightly not shady dealings in the fact that they're criminal, but shady in the way that,
Their money is funny because
Yes.
honestly, I have to say it was my first thought as well because, when they had quote unquote bought that house that they're currently living in, the documents came out and I don't know if you saw them or not, but on that mortgage, it's like 12 different people on it. Right. And
I didn't see that.
it's crazy. The amount of people on that mortgage is wild. There's like 12 different people on it and stuff just for them to be approved. And we did rent to own this and that. Like their money has been funny for a while. So that is definitely something that crossed my mind. I feel horrible even saying it, but I think you do always have to think about what desperation can do to people, right? You really never know.
Well, the funny thing is to get into this whole security angle, right? So I believe Teddy's husband, Teddy and Eddie's security firm. I know, when she met him, she was like, Teddy and Eddie. I like that. It has a ring to it. That seems like something Teddy would go to, right? But even on Yelp reviews, the security firm is called Skyline Security. And even the Yelp reviews accuse them of unethical practices, right? Now, if you guys remember, he was hired to install the security, and it's rumored, I haven't gotten confirmation on this, but a few of my sources said that he has done most of the houses for a lot of the big robberies that happened in Southern California. Wasn't just Kyle's house, right? We can confirm definitely Kyle's house was done, right? They installed the security system in Kyle's house, right? And the Asino home, right? Now, Kyle revealed during, I think, the reunion, or she said that they had been burglarized, and everybody was just like, oh my God. And they had gotten away with 1 million in jewelry, handbags, cash assets. Everybody was like, oh my God, like, did you catch anything on security, right? And that's when she pointed out in security that even though they installed the whole thing, there was one panel missing in the whole security system. And that means the whole security system wasn't working and nothing was seen, right? And the security system was completely dismantled. Conveniently enough, Kyle was also on vacation. Now, I say convenient. It could have been, I don't mean to say Kyle had anything to do with this. I'm just telling you guys the facts. But it was very convenient that it got hit the exact weeks that Kyle was going out on vacation. And it got hit that day, right? And it's also very, very convenient that you got a complete security system from top to bottom installed and nothing was working because of one panel. Now, this is where some people are like, oh my God, Kyle and Mauricio are doing insurance fraud. I'm not saying that. However, out of everyone, side-eyed the security company, because it's not just Kyle's house that got hit. These people knew where everything was. They knew where to go. And to me, when I read the police report, it sounded like an inside job. You knew where this, and who would know that? Because when you get a security system put in, I'm not talking about ADT. I'm talking about a deep security system. You have to show them where you're going to keep stuff. They have special chambers. It's like a full-on thing. So they would have to know where the goods are kept. And the fact that it happened not just with Kyle, but other houses, it makes me be like, okay, maybe you're not in it, but this ring of people that are literally robbing people and doing home invasions, I don't know.
Here's the thing. When it came to Kyle's panel, I could have sworn, okay, so how is it possible that they would just set up something and like have a panel missing and not do anything about that? Why would they not immediately fix that panel, even if Kyle was away? You know what I mean? Would Kyle not be able to just buzz in her bestie and her bestie's husband to get that final panel in?
You know what? Definitely. And this is going a little bit conspiracy theory because, in life, some people say there are no coincidences. Sometimes I believe that sometimes there's nothing but coincidences. But let me just give you this information and take what it is. Kyle's hat got robbed. True to your point, how could Kyle not know that her multi-million-dollar system wasn't working, right? Okay. But even if you didn't know, for whatever reason, shortly after the robbery, Teddy and Eddie upgraded to a nicer house. So that's another reason people are just like,
oh, Tisa.
Listen, I don't want to be messy. I'm just giving you guys the information that's out there. We can try to connect the dots. But it was a hell of a coincidence. And again, his firm was involved, not involved. I don't want to say they're involved in a robbery. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is it is definite that his firm put in systems for houses for very, very wealthy people, not just one or two or three, but a bunch. And a lot of those houses got robbed shortly after that. So if not, it was maybe inside jobs, right?
Let's hold that thought for a second because I have a question for you. But Anastasia, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, something that's very rare, but people think is common is robberies at night. The vast majority happen during the day when they know that you're not home. See, that's what I figured as well. But could it have been that Dorit and PK were uploading their photos a little bit later? Because I follow Dorit on Instagram and I thought she was in London yesterday, right? Because she was posting that she was in London. So I think that might have been part of the reason why this happened at night, that they assumed she wasn't home. Is that something that you heard as well, Tisa, about the
so
situation?
I did hear that, but that honestly didn't track for me because the whole point of robbery is to get away with the goods. Dorit and PK travel a lot. So if not now, when? If they didn't do it, then they could get them when they go away for their staycation, when they go up to New York, when they go to the fashion shows. They're out and about a lot, and the kids are with their there's always going to be another opportunity. I cannot see if somebody is just interested, and this is just a run of the wheel, like, hey, I hear they're gone, breaking in, seeing somebody is at the foot of their bed. And the fact that she said they dragged her while she was screaming and begging for her children's life, that they literally grabbed her and made her show, it makes me think that they wanted her to actually be in. It was a home invasion because they needed her to maybe open, in people's houses that have very, very expensive stuff. They don't just have a closet door. They have a fingerprint ID. Sometimes they have a retina scan. Security is expensive. If you have like a purse like Crystal did that's worth $100,000, of course you're going to have security behind that. So they needed, so I don't think that it was a robbery gone wrong. I think that they meant to actually be there at night and they wanted her there. Now, again, people are whispering whether she was in on it or not. I hope not. I couldn't see someone taking that risk. It did strike me as odd that a whole glass window got broken downstairs. They didn't hear it, but weirder things have happened. They went up to your room and grabbed you and you were pleading for your kids and nobody woke up. Maybe I'm hysterical and I'm naturally loud, but you would have heard my voice from down, the neighbors would have heard my voice. So,
that surprises me as well, because they say that the children were never woken up by any of this as well.
Yeah.
I remember myself as a child being a very light sleeper because I was scared of the dark. I was scared of everything. You know what I mean? So that definitely surprises me. Or the fact that there was no staff in the house, because typically that's something that they kind of show on the Housewives of Beverly Hills, that, these people do have staff that are regularly in the house living with them at, in some corner or something like that. So yeah, I could definitely see why, some people are kind of a little bit curious about this. By the way, Tisa, Deandra had a very interesting comment here. She said, do you guys remember the rapper Pop Smoke was staying at Teddy's husband's house when he died? I didn't even.
Damn it, Deandra, you beat me to the punch. That was going to be my bomb. I dropped on the chat. Yes. You are what? I was saving that little tidbit, like, wait till they get a load of this. Deandra, you are 100% correct. Do you remember this, Grace?
Yeah, I do. I remember thinking, well, what are the odds that he would be at, the housewife house?
Again, Eddie's security firm and everything that has Eddie's name has a history of people getting robbed. They were run up on that house. Now, here's the funny thing. A lot of people, conspiracy theorists, was saying that the alibi they put together, right,
Yeah.
was a bit of a lie. They said that Pop Smoke said, on Instagram Live, and they had zoomed in and they had saw the address. But even if they saw that, again, most people that are into home invasions, and I'm only saying this from, no, I don't know people that do home invasions, fine. But I'm saying this from like what court documents show. What most people that
Mhm.
are in there, it is very orchestrated. You don't want to go, and don't forget in California, a lot of people own firearms. It's not like the
Yeah.
Northeast where you can roll up in somebody's house and it's cool. In California, people have their heat ready too, right?
Yeah.
It's almost as bad as Florida when it comes to gun culture. So you need to stake out the house. You need to see who has guns. You need to see what security is. You need to see who people are staying with, because California does have a culture where friends are always crashing at the house. Friends are always at the pool house. Somebody's always around. So it needs to be very, very orchestrated. And the Pop Smoke attached to a name of someone that you already have a string of break-ins and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just looks really, really funny.
So, this is very interesting. We're taking a very interesting turn here. So I did not research, because here's the thing. Like just simply saying Edwin's company has very bad reviews, that I was aware of. But now I wish I had dug into that a little bit further, because I did not even connect the dots, because I was not aware that his security company was responsible for securing Dorit's home.
Well, hold on one second. That has not been confirmed. That is speculation that his security company was in charge of security for Dorit's home. Teddy's husband's, it's a that's speculation. I don't want to put
Okay.
any gossip out there. That's speculation. However, I've had a source say that it's true and they're trying to get confirmation, because Teddy's company, Teddy's husband's company, before all this happened, literally was the security people for all the rich people and their friends. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why they
Yeah.
did Claw's house, they did this house, they did that house. Teddy's dad, Mellencamp, goes a long way. So they're trying to get confirmation that it was Dorit's house, but we can't say 100% that it was Kyle's house.
Yeah.
100%. And we can't
Mhm.
100% say that it was Pop Smoke's house. And we can 100% that if it's that even outside of Teddy's company, there is a ring of robberies going on in Southern California, predominantly in the well-to-do areas of Beverly Hills, that are going by the same MO. So all this is happening. Whether they are all connected, that remains to be seen. But it
Mhm.
is not an anomaly. It is something that's been happening. It's been something that has really, really uptick over the last year when people were unemployed and all this stuff was happening.
So it's like the next generation of the bling ring. Do you remember the bling ring with Paris Hilton's house and all of that? This is kind of similar to what is going on there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I actually did a lookup of inside, like where are they now in the bling ring, and a lot of them are like, "It changed my life. I'm so happy I got caught." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." But
The
yeah, the bling
privilege of it
ring.
all.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like the bling ring, but the bling ring. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't really following them back then, but they seemed like they were just kids that would act like they were hanger-ons. And LA, if you guys don't know LA culture, the clubs close at
Mhm.
2 o'clock. So you party till 2, and then whoever has the nicest house invites the whole club back to their house. So it's a big house party environment, right? So you always
Yeah.
have strangers in your house. Usually it's people from the VIP, right? So you kind of know them by association, very rarely, like very loosely. And from what I thought about the bling ring, they were just like hanging around. And then while everybody was partying and doing whatever, they were like grabbing bags, grabbing shoes, grabbing whatever. Did they ever use firearms? I don't remember hearing them use firearms, but I wasn't following the bling ring that well back then.
So I never actually watched a movie, but from what I remember is that sometimes they would force entry too.
Okay.
But I don't know if they had firearms, but they definitely did force entry themselves sometimes. Leslie says no, they did not use firearms.
Okay. But the first entry would make sense, because sometimes you would have to, do what you needed to. But this is like yeah, exactly. This is an adult planned event, like Princess Gabby said, and there's something going on in Southern California. Again, ugh, it-
Yeah.
again, maybe it's people talking, but Teddy's husband's thing has been mentioned so many times, and people are trying to find a link. Hopefully, there is no link in what's going on. But again, with there just being concerted effort, maybe it was just Dorit and PK's time. And unfortunately, thank God nobody got hurt. But the other side of that coin that we have to actually talk about is, again, there has been an amazing uptick in insurance fraud. And whether or not this is associated with Teddy's husband's thing, fine, let's take them off the table. You kind of have to look at what most police are now looking at in Southern California when you have that many assets. Is this some type of insurance fraud? Because the easiest thing is to pay someone to break in, do that, and then split the proceeds with them, So there's that.
Exactly. That is something that definitely concerns me. And, I really do want to keep an eye on the investigation to see how it plays out. One thing that I found a little bit that kind of stuck out to me in terms of the report about what happened is, so the first source I looked at was NBC News about the situation. And they talked about how one of the police people told them that Dorit said that the people had her show them where everything was. But then when you go to the Sun or the Daily Mail, they're saying that it's unknown what property was stolen. But something I kind of feel like is, well, if Dorit had to show them around and everything, wouldn't she know like which kind of assets and stuff she was in the vicinity of when she's showing them around the home?
That's actually a good catch. That's actually a good catch. Which one is it? Now, I will tell you guys the truth. The Daily Mail, when they're not being the R word, right? When they're not being the R word, the Daily Mail actually has incredible investigation. I'm not telling anybody to subscribe because they have other issues, but when they get into, they send their reporters out. They have sources in the mailroom, in the cafeteria. So they're actually really, really good. And unlike NBC, which tends to, I don't want to say NBC does a sloppy job, but when it's not the president or something political, they just take PR's word for it. I would tend to believe the Daily Mail's recount of what actually happened because they usually get the facts right when it's all said and done. So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, listen, sometimes when they are talking about social justice issues, they are very wrong. But when it comes to hardcore investigation and actually pulling facts out, they usually get a little bit more. So I tend to believe the Daily Mail. Again, it just seems so, and I don't want to be that person because she went through something traumatic, if this is true, and I believe it is. So I don't want to already be that person that's kicking dirt. It's just like, and maybe life happens like that, but how does someone accost you in your sleep, drag you out? You said that you were begging, but your kids didn't hear,
I don't understand that part either. Thank God, if this is the way it played out, thank God that the kids didn't hear at the end of the day, because who knows what would have happened, with the kids if they got up to see what happened or anything like that. But, like you, I'm not really understanding that portion because I do watch The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and I know how close the children's bedrooms are to Dorit's house. Right. And I've seen the children's school area as well. It was shown this past season. So, they would have started from the down, the glass would have broken. I guess no one in the house heard. Fine, no problem. But that's another issue, though, is that glass break detection is a big, it's a core component of home security. When I was working in startup technology and stuff, the first company I worked for was all about home security. And so there is glass protection alarms, broken glass. There is window open alarms. It's not just cameras, or whatever like that. So it's interesting.
That's an interesting point you make, but I would also, because you just made me think of something else. Forget about the glass alarm detection. What you're saying, that's like security 101. But to break a glass door, do you know how much sound that makes? To actually break in enough for a human man, I assume it was men that did it, right? But even for an adult. Yeah, 3, even to climb through to get that is and then to hear the glass shattering, unless they had some, I don't know, secret agent stuff. I would also say too, it strikes me as odd, and this is a little shady, so I'm not making light of her plot. However, it strikes me as odd that out of everyone, Dorit was hit when it has been the talk of the town in Dorit's part of Beverly Hills that she is literally banned from certain shops because she just buys stuff and she returns it. Dorit and PK, he went from being a multimillionaire to literally
billionaire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. It is the worst kept secret in Beverly Hills that Dorit and PK are broke, and all those things you see, she's returning. So it makes me wonder if people were planning on robbing them. And I'm not saying they don't have anything; they're not working at McDonald's, obviously. But it makes me
Yeah.
wonder if they were robbing them. Why would you pick Dorit and PK Kemsley when you have a whole city of uber wealthy people? I don't know. That just, it's like, I don't know. But then again, maybe they thought they were low hanging fruit. Maybe they thought they were low hanging fruit. It just struck me as odd.
Me as well. It's the whole pattern of it too, because last night it was part 3 of the Beverly Hills reunion, and Dorit was claiming that she owns every single designer item outright. I don't believe that, but I digress. And not only that, but just the other day, her
Oh,
husband
oh my
posted
God.
this.
What's this?
Did you see this post from her husband, PK?
Oh my
So
God.
he posted this, and I'm going to read it because it's a little small, but his caption was, "Does anybody know if the dumps are open today? I have an old carpet I have to get rid of, and I usually ask my wife what's open, but she went to stay with friends yesterday." Obviously, it's a joke about, Dorit being in that bag. And he just posted that, I think, 3 days ago. So a day or two before the robbery hit. Like all of these kind of things lining up
Yeah.
together. It's eerie.
Does Big K normally have a morbid sense of humor? Because I don't know.
I know he's got a very like slick sense of humor, like a very dry, but I've never seen him intimate something like this. Usually when
Yeah.
Dorit is posted on his page, he is hyping up. I'm looking now, her fashion, her clothing line, like that's what he's showing off. Clips from the Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I've never seen him post something like this. So, what are the odds that he would post something like this a day or two before his wife is the victim of an armed robbery? I'm not trying to claim that he had something to do with it or anything. It's just the timing is very, if it were me, I would have gone back and taken that down, just
Yes.
based on what just happened. Yeah.
That's really off color. That's really suspicious. Now, again, we don't want to go into conspiracy. I feel you, Grace. I'm not going to go into conspiracy theory land, but that's
Mhm.
super, super, super off color. But you're right.
Yeah.
PK wasn't home. He was in London. Dorit flew home a day early. Again, everything in this seems suspicious, but sometimes life just is suspicious. But the fact that home invasions are usually so carefully orchestrated, somehow they knew that Dorit was flying home a day early. This was not an accident at all. Even if there were 3 men, you knew that there was only a woman there, because if there was a man there, now that's 2 adults. You wouldn't just take 3 people to subdue 2 adults, and there's also 2
Exactly.
children. Do you see what I'm saying? There would have at
I
least
didn't
been,
even think about that.
yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, there would have just been something more. Everything's just awfulness. Hopefully, the police find out what's going on and find out they were just hacks that literally saw low hanging fruit. Maybe watched the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and decided to go in. But again, I didn't know that Dorit was even known for PK lavishing her with jewels. Like, I would have thought something like this would have happened to Erica Jane, or uh who else? Like, and for everybody,
Sutton, she's rich.
oh,
Sutton, she's
yeah,
very
and yeah,
rich. Yeah.
and for everybody saying, "Oh my God," but Dorit has all these fabulous clothes. I would think in the eyes of a robbery, the resale for designer clothes, what are you going to get for that? Like last year's Prada. You're looking for handbags and you're looking for jewelry. And Dorit's never really shown many handbags or jewelry while she's been on the show. So I don't know.
Yeah, the entire, Tisa, I should have asked you about this earlier because for those of you who don't know, Tisa also reads tarot cards. So I would, I should have asked you to do a little bit of a reading on the situation.
That's a great idea. You know what? I'm going to do a reading on my channel on this situation. I don't have my cards close, but if not, I would have pulled a few cards. This would be an excellent theme because there's so much weird energy
It
going
is.
on. I literally, every time we think about something, it's like a game of Clue. Like, you look guilty. Now you look innocent. Now you look guilty again. And it just keeps going back and forth. What do you think about this? What's your gut telling you? Because you have really good insight, Grace.
You know what? My thing right now is insurance fraud. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing that I kind of jump to because, like everybody kind of knows is that their money, there's something off about their money. They haven't been very forthcoming about what it is and everything like that. The lawsuits that PK has been involved in involving kind of not paying back money for friends and this and that. So I feel like there might be a hint of desperation there. I heard from Dumois that Dorit was kind of allegedly banned from LV because she would wear the outfits, return it, this and that. It's so odd that she made it a point to claim that she owns everything. Like the timing of everything is suspicious. Everyone wants you to do that tarot reading, by the way. Yeah, they really want that.
I'm going to put the tarot reading up. Hopefully it'll be up tonight. At the very least, it'll be up tomorrow. That's a great idea for a tarot reading, because I do agree. It smells of desperation. And for everybody saying that, like, okay, so Shannon Van is saying you refuse to even consider this as resentful, close to victim shaming when people question the validity of this incident so soon after. Let's wait to question her. Okay, I will give you that. But oftentimes when people that are in a lot of financial debt and they're very serious situations financially, very perilous situation. Hey there, Dana. I think it's okay to ask these questions. And I guarantee you what, we can wait for Dorit's answers, but I guarantee you what, that the Beverly Hills PD is asking these exact same questions right now. Because the first thing when someone gets robbed, and also with business dealings with PK, I don't know his business dealings. I'm not saying that, he's on some Simon Gabadia stuff. I am saying that we also, in things like that, we need to look at business relationships. Like PK, you guys are in a bad place. You did lose close to $1 billion for you and your partners. There's a lot going on and you weren't home. So again, not saying that she's not a victim, right? We are glad everybody is safe, but things are looking really, I don't know. Grace, I followed your instinct on this with insurance fraud, but you know what? Honestly, I thought it was insurance fraud when Kyle's house got robbed, because that's another thing that I can say that I know. People have very secure closets, right? But when you have things that are irreplaceable, when you have things that are very much like whatever, you don't really keep them in your house. You either keep them at a vault in the bank, you keep them in a special thing, or you keep them in a special security area where it's basically like a U-Haul storage center for uber wealthy people, where there's guards and securities and lasers and all this stuff. It just like with Kyle, it seemed odd to me that you had all these priceless things and all this high priced jewelry just sitting on your dresser like it was a Michael Kors bag. Do you know what I'm saying? You had a Birkin worth for $50,000 and you're acting like it's a Michael Kors bag.
You know
So
what? It's funny you say that, because to me, the whole reason with Kyle's burglary that I feel like, it's 100% what it is because of the sentimental stuff. I feel like if she were going to, be involved in something like that, I don't think she would be willing to part with stuff from, like, her dearly departed mother. She's got this ring. Do you know the cross ring that she's always wearing on her middle finger or whatever? So like she does regularly wear her mother's jewelry. So that's like, it's funny that that's the reason for you that you think it might have been like a little sketchy, but for me, it's the reverse.
Well, here's the thing also. I know from reading like true crime stories about international art thieves over in Europe, right? This is stuff that actually really happened. Oh, here's the funny thing. When you rob a place, you take things that are of sentimental value, because again, if it's your mother's purse or your mother's ring, you're never going to sell that. That's a family heirloom pretty much, right? So you grab everything, right? And you split it. But with that thing of like, but listen, we're going to keep the bag. We're going to keep the ring. Just because she said it was stolen doesn't mean in maybe 2 generations it won't pop up on Portia's granddaughter's, her daughter's Portia's granddaughter's finger thing. Again, when it comes to art heists, when it comes to robbing of the rich, when it comes to insurance fraud, people get very, very sophisticated with it. There are literally people that do this for a living. So they already have alibis. They know what would make it more believable. Again, now I'm going into conspiracy theory, but just because her mom's ring was stolen doesn't mean that her mom's ring isn't somewhere in Acapulco for safekeeping until a generation blows over. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? Listen, stranger things have happened in life, right? It's, and to Shan's point, I was kind of like a little bit like, oh, like, can I really suspect this? But at the same time, remember when Jesse Smollett had that story, I went against my gut instinct. I felt like something was weird about the story, but at the same time, I'm like, listen, like, he lives where he lives, and these things do happen. So I was like, okay, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But come to find out, for some reason, and for that, did he even have a financial motivation? Like, he just kind of made it up, allegedly.
He had a financial motivation in the fact that I think he was either trying to negotiate for more in a contract or he was trying to get out of a contract. Now, granted, to your point, Grace, it was a dumb reason. It's like you did all this for contract negotiations, but you're right. There was something that was tingling about Spidey sense where it was like, I believe the fact that he went to Subway at 3 in the morning because that's
Another
something I would
night.
do. Yes.
Yeah.
But what I heard he was in Chicago, if anybody's ever been to a Chicago winter, I said he got
Yeah.
dressed to go out in the cold in a Chicago winter at 3 in the morning. Something's not adding up. And yeah, you're right. There was something odd about that. So trust the gut, but there's something that's just tingling, and I'm waiting to see what the police have to say about it. Again, I'm just glad that Dorit and her kids are safe, but I find it so odd that somebody drags you and you're pleading. I mean, maybe they muffled you. I'm trying to think in my head how the kids, but even then the struggle, because
Mhm.
I would think that if somebody was at the bottom of my bed standing over, screaming, kicking, and even, I mean, some people might go limp, but even before you realize that resistance is futile, right? There's
Yeah.
this struggle, there's human nature that when you're in trouble, you're going to kind of like fight a little bit back. So it's just odd that like nobody saw anything. And was her house ransacked? Did they say whether they ripped through the house? Because that's another thing. It's like they said, show us where everything's at. Dorit showed them where they were at. And they were like, okay, thank you for your honesty. And they
Yeah.
left. I mean, did they ransack the house? I would have. I was like, I don't believe you. You're probably hiding diamonds everywhere. Just rip the whole house apart. So
Well, that's another interesting point. It sounded very neat, from NBC and from The Sun. It was very much just she showed them where the things were because they demanded it. One thing that Shan said a little bit earlier was, okay, what about the kids being there? Why do you think the kids would be there if there was some kind of sketchy involvement? Like, wouldn't the kids have stayed with PK another day in London? Why would Dorit be there? Not, like, it is interesting.
because when you're
True.
planning a robbery, you want to make it look as believable as possible. I'm just playing devil's advocate. You want to make it look
Mhm.
as believable as possible. So if you're not in any real danger, right? They bust the
Yeah.
glass door, they come in, you show them where they're at. You're on, I don't even know if they have videotape footage, but if they do, you see thing like, struggling a little, get off of me, right? You see the
Yeah.
struggle, you go, it's 20 minutes and they're in and out. Again, when you're like, why would they do that? Why the kids are there? I mean, if you know your kids are in no real danger, it almost makes it a little bit more believable. But then again, you guys, I know I'm going down conspiracy theory because once you believe that somebody would do something like this, then the whole moral, it's just like a moral sliding scale. But we
Yeah.
have to admit, whether you believe Dorit's story or not, we have to admit that there's just something really odd about it, or at least I'm saying there's something odd about it.
I
Hey,
agree.
Tina.
By the way, Tia, thank you so much for the super chat. She goes, Tisa collaborating with all my faves. Enjoyed her on the ladies first panel. Nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, I agree with you. There's something, and someone a little bit earlier as well. Let me just pull it up. Bella Love. I wanted to talk about this too. Did you see? So all of this happened last night. And then right in the morning, what happens? The cameras are on and they're filming for another episode of RHOBH. It was Erica, it was Lisa Rinna, and it was Teddy Mellencamp who showed up as well, and
At
Kyle.
her house?
Yeah, at her house. I've got it
Okay.
right here. It's weird, isn't it? Like, your kids were in the house with you. You're not too scared right now. Let me pull it up.
No, erase everything I just said for the last 20 minutes. No, no, no. Put her name on the suspect list. There is something off about that. I don't care who, and again, everybody processes trauma differently. But you
Yeah.
literally, somebody invaded your house. You woke up to them standing at the foot of your bed. Your kids could have been hurt. You were begging for your life and your children's life. And now you have cameras in your face while your friends are over and
Yeah.
I just can't see it. I just can't even see you even caring about your job or the check. If you had told them come back tomorrow or the next day, they would have, right? They can't force you in such a perilous. Wow. That's really odd. That's really odd. Grace,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
I was a little bit troubled by this too, because like you, she didn't go through just like any old like robbery or anything like that. This is someone threatening her. These three men who were armed threatening her. It's a huge deal. So I, just like you, I would not film the next day. I would not even be in my house the next day. My kids and I
No,
would be somewhere else.
no, that's crazy that they let the cameras in to capture all that, which I don't know, guys. Again, I don't want to be the budge kid, right? Jesse,
Mhm.
listen, Shannon the van, I don't want to be the buzzkill. I love your open, trusting heart. But
Mhm.
hey, B, what's going on? But I don't know. Grace, I'm going with you. There's something off about this. As soon as you said the cameras are there, I'm like, erase everything I said. That makes no sense. Not only were they at the foot of her bed, but they grabbed her. They grabbed her and
Yeah.
dragged her and made her show. So
Yeah.
it's like, no, like you still
And they
have
told her
bruises
that
on
they
your
would
arms.
kill her. She said that. She was
Yes.
like, "They told me that they would kill me. They were pointing a gun at me when I begged them not to." If I have to ask you and everybody in the chat as well, if someone was in your house, you were all alone, they told you that they would kill you and they had a gun in your face, three of them, what would you do? Like I would be screaming bloody murder. So that's what makes it so strange as well.
They would have to. Here's the thing. Even if they put it to my head and they're just like, shut up, there's certain, to your point, there's just certain sounds I hope I'm never in that position where you can't help but make the pleading, the panting, the okay, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like your life is in danger. Nobody just is like, okay, and sits there quietly. That's why they tape people's mouths up and gag her, and they
Yeah.
never did. I completely agree with you. It's noise, it's a scuffle. And I
Mhm.
was also a light sleeper as a child. But even if you're not, it's just like the things that go on in your mom's room or your dad's room. It's like, I don't know. And how did they not even know that her children weren't in the room? Did they go into the children's room? How did they make sure the children weren't going to come out? Like what?
Well, that's the thing too, right? Because on the show, again, the children's room are all next to Dorit. It's kind of like a little cul-de-sac at the end of the house with the
Okay.
three bedrooms, all
Okay.
pretty much next to each other. So how would they know one bedroom from the other if all the doors were closed that night? It's all
Yeah.
just so yeah.
And if there's three guys, two children, there's somebody for each child. How, did somebody secure the children's door? But Dorit said she saw three people. But maybe the police are only releasing a certain amount of information because they don't want the criminals to know that they're on to them. Maybe it was more than three people. But right now, in the story that we're hearing, if this
Yeah.
is the official story, it doesn't make sense. And when you add the filming on top of that, and let's actually talk about it.
Mhm.
I hate to judge anybody's parenting skills. I really do. But let's just say that everything Dorit said is true, right? Sounds funny. Crazier things have happened. All right, Dorit,
Mhm.
fine. The police are there. They're fingerprinting. They're doing this. You're on the phone with PK. They see their mom hysterical. The kids are being questioned. It's the whole thing. And you're their mom. And even if it all happened, you chose to have the cameras in their face documenting all of it. I don't know. As a child, it would seem like such an invasion of privacy. At a time where I would really just want, again, I've never been through that. So maybe I'm just playing armchair and talking about what I would or should do. And I've never been in that situation. But if anybody has been in a traumatic situation, I would think that forget about whether it was true or not. It's like, okay, now I need to let the children know that the world's a safe place. Now I need to decompress. And it's a very unsafe thing to allow and voyeuristic to allow the cameras in on that.
Yeah.
We didn't need to see them. We could have heard it describe it in her green screen or you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
That I agree with. I'm seeing a lot of comments in the chat about, like, sure, you might want friends to lean on, but where are her other, like, there's not even like a mix of her real friends and her coworkers on the Housewives. It's exclusively Housewives that we've seen
Yeah.
go into the home and everything like that. I don't know. It's sad. And you know what? Shan is actually bringing up, thank you so much for this, Shan, because I forgot. This is another one. Because remember, when Kim Kardashian got robbed, there were very similar claims from people that it didn't, there's something that seemed off about that situation as well. How did that finish, by the way? Because, yeah, to me as well, Shan, that situation seemed a little crazy. Like, how does Kim Kardashian get robbed? And it was here in Paris, like it's really hard to get into apartments in Paris as well. And she would probably be living in like one of the hotels as well.
Well,
So
that
how did that happen? Yeah.
So that was also odd too, because it wasn't just a Lux hotel. It was a Lux hotel that had a state of the art security system. Even
Yeah.
getting up to her floor was a production. I think that they figured out, or they tried to say that it was an inside job from one of the people that worked there, actually gave them access. But it had, even I think one of the guys that got caught, now he could have been lying because he got caught, right? People do
Yeah.
that, right? But he was trying to say that they were paid to do it. And it was kind of like an insurance fraud thing. I know that Kanye West, they got a full payout for that. This is like a little bit after he had to pay that multi-million-dollar settlement to his tour insurance, because remember he quit his
Yeah.
he had to quit his tour halfway through, and they tried to say that it was because he went crazy and had a bipolar episode, but the insurance company hauled him in and had medical doctors and said no, it was a drug induced bipolar episode. For those that don't know, bipolar, you can be born with it. When it's drug induced, you can have bipolar, but then it goes away. You know what I'm saying? It goes
Mhm.
away. It's not the same as actually having it, like, completely. So they actually said this was drug induced bipolar episode, and they're not paying for it. So he ended up having to pay all that money for the tour that he quit. They got the insurance settlement a little while after that. Now, again, this could be a horrible coincidence, but when he got that insurance company, that insurance check, he bought Kim like a ring just as big, if not a little bit bigger, with the insurance money. So again, that whole thing was weird. Once
Yeah.
criminals are caught, it's almost like you kind of can't believe them, because you'd be surprised how much, even in court, when people are looking at murder charges, they'll try to say the husband paid me or the wife paid me. They'll say crazy things to get out of actually going to jail. So,
Right.
yeah.
And that's the thing, when we're like, when Tisa and I are kind of like trying to understand this from all angles, it's not about are PK and Dorit like fraudsters and shady, are Teddy and her husband like involved. It's just like in general, what could have happened here? Because you have to admit that it is a little bit odd. Again, I have to go back to this image that PK posted just a couple of
I didn't
days.
even see that. Oh my God. He's so morbid. It's
Right.
just, it's so off color. But even in the best times, it's like, like, I don't want to ride home, PK. Thank you. Thank you. But in these times, after
Yeah.
this happened with your wife, it's like, what in the world? Yeah, it's a bit odd.
It is, so we just want to see it from every perspective, because look, if I went missing, the first person they would question is, the man that I live with, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
typically something like you just have to explore everything from every angle is
We
all
need
we're
to
doing
find
here.
out. You know what,
What?
Grace? We need to find
Yeah.
out if what Dorit's insurance policy is on her head, and then we'll decide whether PK had something to do with it. If we find out Dorit is insured for $500 million, it's like,
Uh-huh.
don't drink any coffee PK gives you, just run. So
Oh my God. Now, you guys, this has been so interesting. This has been an interesting chat. So thank you so much, you guys, for giving Tisa and I like more angles to think about this situation from. It really has been informative. I'm still on that Pop Smoke thing, like, wow.
yeah, the Pop Smoke thing. And when I heard it was Teddy's husband's thing, I was like, these people, like, they need, what is it? You know that hotel in Southern California? I want to say it's the Fillmore. I'm probably saying it wrong, where it's known for all these crazy, horrific things. Oh, the Seymour or whatever. It's in downtown.
Cecil or something like
Yes,
that.
hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I feel like that's the way any property Teddy and Eddie own should be. Like, just stay away from it. Something bad is going to happen. It's just bad juju.
Yes.
You guys either have the worst luck in the world, or you guys are orchestrating this, but we'll see. We'll see.
Exactly. We'll wait and see. We're definitely going to keep an eye on this. And if it turns legal, I have a lawyer friend here on YouTube who loves to talk about Bravo news and just
Oh, that'd be great.
entertainment. So I'll bring her in with Tisa. We'll have a three panel. And Tisa, are you really going to do a tarot reading on the situation on your channel?
I'm going to do a tarot reading on the situation. I'm either going to do it later on tonight, or I'm going to do it tomorrow, but expect it before Saturday. You guys will have this tarot reading. You'll have these tarot readings. If it's good, I'll contact the Beverly Hills Police Department and be like, hello, I have something. They'll be like, who is this? I'll be like, a friend. Listen to me. PK cannot be trusted.
I love it. You heard it here first, you guys. Please make sure to subscribe to Tisa's channel. I've got the link to it in the description box of this video down below. Subscribe. She talks about all things reality TV, Bravo celebrities. She is so good at that. And she's going to be doing a tarot reading on the situation that we all are going to be, I'm sure we're going to be watching with bated breath. My God.
Definitely. Thank you for the idea, Grace. And thank you so much for having me on. You guys know I'm always shouting out Grace. Love you. Love your channel. And like, honestly, I mean, what can I say? I I aspire to walk in your footsteps, Grace. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
You're too kind. Thank you so much, Tisa. You are amazing. We've got so many more collaborations coming up to you guys. So please subscribe to our channel and keep a lookout for our collaborations, okay? Take care, you guys. See you next time.
All right. Bye, everybody.